Hi, I'm Alexander Augunas. I'm the lead designer of the Eversaga RPG and the publisher of Everybody Games. And today I wanted to take some time to talk about building characters in the Eversaga RPG. A lot of what I'm about to talk about is stuff that I'm still writing, so anything could be changed. And as one of my patrons, you can give me your feedback and let me know what you think and what I should change. So awesome. Now, personally, when I play a tabletop role playing game like what I want the Eversaga role playing game to be, the most important thing for me is having an experience where I get to basically design my character the way that I want to play. I don't really like when I'm playing a character and I feel like I'm having to do something that a designer decided was the best way to do my vision at some point. So for me, making sure that there are plenty of player choices is the most important thing about building a character in the Eversaga RPG. And in order to do that, I sat down and I looked at a whole bunch of what other games in tabletop RPGs do, and I played a lot of games as well. I sat and I tried to figure out what I liked and what I didn't like when I was building characters. And for me personally, my favorite part of building a character is like the choices you can make. But you can ask anybody who's ever played with me. I am really bad about option paralysis, which is weird because I want more options, but if I have to make too many choices all at the same time, and especially if I feel like those choices are things that I can't change later, I clam up and I get really worried and I spend way too much long obsessing over what I want to do. So at least for me, I think one of the things that would really help out with that sort of feeling while also giving me that choice, platter that I want is if choices were made a little bit more frequently. In a lot of tabletop RPGs, you'll sit down and you'll make a character building choice maybe once every 12 to 20 hours, assuming that you have a very rigorous pace. That's sort of the standard that many role playing games like Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons are balanced around. And I don't know if that's frequent enough because, in terms of like from a behavioral perspective, a lot of the choices that you make in a tabletop RPG are they make you wait until you get to a point where you're deprived of choice, and then they satiate you on choice by just giving you tons of it all at once. So what I mean is, like, if you're playing a Pathfinder first edition game, when you level up, you get to choose where all of your skill ranks go, and that can be anywhere from 12 to 4 choices depending on how you build your character. You get to choose your selectable class feature for the level. You might get to choose a feat. You might get to make some other option within one of your nested class features. There's a lot of choice you can make, and you have to do it all at once before you can keep playing. And I think that can be kind of disruptive to play if everyone has to stop for like an hour in order to build their character at certain junctions, especially like if the tension is good. What if you're in the middle of a dungeon crawl and then all of a sudden, we earned enough experience, we leveled up, can we stop and level up? And then if the GM says yes, then the game stops no matter what the tension or the stakes were. And if the GM says no, then the GM has to live with the fact that their players are going to be a little salty, that they should have all these extra powers. And that means if the players go into a combat that they do not win and they're like, oh, well, if you let us level up, we would have won. Like that sort of creates unnecessary tension within a group. So one of the things that I want for the Eversaga role-playing game is players are making choices as often as they want to and as often as they need to. One of the ways that this works is through experience points. Experience points isn't a passive accumulative thing that you just kind of get and then that tells you when you level up and that's all you do. You don't hoard experience points like some sort of experience dragon. Instead, what you do is when you get experience points, you put them in a pool, and when you have time in slice of life mode, which is one of the 3 modes of gameplay in the Eversaga role-playing game, you actually get to sit down and choose how you're going to spend these experience points on getting new abilities and powers. So, for example, maybe at a certain point you're like, you know what, I could really use a bonus to my luck attribute. I think I'm going to spend my experience points on doing that. So there are rules in the game that are like, hey, this is how long it takes you in order to sit down and train yourself to be a little bit more lucky. Exactly how you would train luck, maybe you go run around in like a field of clovers and start picking clovers. My brother actually did that, and I'm pretty sure that's why he's like way luckier than anybody else in my family. But that being said, you sit down and you figure out how you're going to spend your stuff, and you take the necessary time, and then boom, you get your thing. And once you've spent, you've reached a certain amount of thresholds of the amount of XP you've spent, because there's an area on the character sheet where you track how much experience you've spent. Then you get to go and you're like, aha, I've spent enough experience. These are the experiences I've had. Now I level up. And so the game sort of cycles between times of like doing more adventure-y things and then time to sit down, relax, train, and take care of your stuff on your home front. That's slice of life mode. The idea behind this is that players spend experience as quickly as they want, and it also incentivizes the GM into writing stories that don't have the adventure month. There are a lot of times you'll see games where the players go from being like level 1 nobodies to being level 20 badasses in like literally a month. And maybe that's the kind of power fantasy you like. I want Eversaga to be able to support that style of campaign storytelling, but the primary storytelling method should be the players take the time to actually spend their experience, get new abilities that way, and then as they master new abilities, the actual accumulation of those experiences is what makes them level up into the next level.